The last time we spoke, I think maybe it was Wednesday, you made a comment that I think got a lot of attention, both online and elsewhere. I got emails and calls about it, actually, where you seemed to suggest that you were more concerned than you had been about what the timeline looked like, that actually the timeline of getting back to quote-unquote normal was perhaps going to be very different. And I was wondering if you could explain that. You also put out a comment on Twitter related to it.
Well, there's two scenarios. There was one scenario where we have a very dense epidemic, which we're going through right now. At some point we will peak in terms of the number of daily cases, and we may peak at some point in the next week or two. Now, deaths and hospitalizations are tragically going to lag that peak in new cases, but at some point we're going to have so much infection and we'll have vaccinated enough people that the virus is going to start to burn itself out. It won't go away, but prevalence will decline. By the end of this month, we'll have infected probably about 30% of the American public and maybe vaccinate another 10, notwithstanding the very difficult rollout of the vaccine. You're starting to get to levels of prior exposure in the population where the virus isn't going to spread as readily. And then we're heading into the spring, and I think prevalence would decline quite dramatically as we get into the seasonal backstop of the spring and the summer with that much prior immunity in our population. The other scenario is that this new UK variant really takes hold here, and I think that extends out how dense this epidemic is and also increases the rate of infection you're going to see over the course of the spring and the summer. It might not go away entirely. So that's why I think we're in a race against time with this vaccine, trying to deploy it as a backstop against this variant before it really takes hold. Now, the other part of this equation is, let's say we have the more optimistic scenario. We have a relatively quiescent spring and summer. Prevalence is very low. Life gets back to mostly normal. What does next fall look like? And I don't think next fall is back to 2018. I think it's a new normal where we're much more vigilant about respiratory pathogens in the workplace. We do things differently. We go back to work. We go back to travel, but we're doing things differently. People are wearing masks, but it's voluntary. We're not crowding people into small spaces. We're conscious of air quality indoors. We're taking people's temperature as they go into public venues. People are asked to fill out symptom questionnaires before they come to work and told to stay at home if they don't feel well. Things will be different, at least for one cycle. I think we have to get through one cycle with this, trying to do normal things and preventing an outbreak. And next winter probably is going to look like a really bad flu season. I think the best case scenario is it looks like a really bad flu season where we don't have hundreds of thousands of COVID deaths, but there will be tens of thousands. We won't fully extinguish this. And I also don't think we'll get the vaccination rates up where we need to be. We need to start understanding that it's going to be hard to vaccinate the public. Right now, there's more demand than supply, but at some point, and probably sooner rather than later, there's going to be more supply than demand. We're going to really have to work at it.
Shepard Smith here. Thanks for watching CNBC on YouTube.